Do you remember a time when you decided to face everything alone? That moment when pride kept you from asking for help. The burden became heavier as you tried to carry everything on your own. Each day, the silence grew more deafening, and the challenges felt increasingly overwhelming. It was as if an invisible barrier separated you from the support you needed, yet the thought of relinquishing control seemed more terrifying. Pride can be a silent iceberg. The visible part is our resistance to embracing vulnerability, but beneath the surface lies a vast ocean of fears, insecurities, and the belief that asking for help is a sign of weakness. This mindset not only pushes people away, but also locks us into a cycle of loneliness. You may have believed that by not asking for help, you were being strong, but in reality, you were isolating yourself. As days went by, the consequences of that pride began to pile up. Work, personal relationships, mental health, everything started to crumble. Anxiety escalated, and that feeling of sinking in your own life became more and more palpable. When life finally seemed unbearable, you realized that help was all around you, but your pride had created a chasm so deep that crossing it felt impossible. The silences began to scream. Situations that could have been resolved with a conversation turned into wounds, misunderstandings, and resentments. Friends who were once present began to drift away because they couldn't understand your silent struggle. What could have been support transformed into a void that grew day by day. You found yourself in a cycle of regret, thinking how much easier it would have been if you had set your pride aside. Then came a moment when you realized that isolation wasn't the answer. Deep down, there was a yearning for connection, to be understood. The first step was the hardest, admitting that you needed help. The idea of exposing yourself, of sharing your struggles, felt terrifying, but when you finally decided to speak up, a wave of relief washed over you. The words flowed out, and with them, the weight began to lift. The response you received was surprising. People were willing to listen, willing to help. The support that seemed so far away was revealed in the reactions of those who cared. By allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you began to realize that true power lies in the ability to ask for help. The bridges that pride had destroyed started to be rebuilt, and connections became deeper. Over time, you learned that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of courage and self-care. Vulnerability became a powerful tool, enabling you to reconnect with others and, more importantly, with yourself. The silent pride doesn't have to be an iceberg sinking your life. It can be an opportunity to emerge, to rediscover yourself, and to grow. Now, looking back, you understand that the journey isn't just about individual struggle, but about the relationships we form. The story of silent pride transforms into a testimony that by allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, we find not only support, but also the strength to face what lies ahead. The lessons learned become a part of who you are, and the courage to ask for help is the light that shines in the shadows of silence. And so, in the end, you discover that you are not alone. You don't have to carry the world on your shoulders. True strength lies in connection with others, in the willingness to open your heart and share burdens. Pride can be challenging, but by freeing yourself from it, you find a lighter and brighter path. The vulnerability you've started to practice was not just an act of courage, but a turning point in your life. Each time you opened up to someone, you also allowed yourself to learn more about yourself. With every conversation and every shared experience, you began to realize that other people were also facing their own silent battles. This exchange of stories became a space of mutual support, where everyone could be authentic and true. Over time, you not only felt lighter, but also stronger. The idea that vulnerability was a weakness was replaced by the understanding that when you're honest about your struggles, you create a safe environment for others to do the same. This not only strengthened your relationships, but also helped you build a support network in your life that you never thought was possible. You recalled moments when someone had opened up to you. Those moments were precious and meaningful, and now you understood how important they were. This exchange of vulnerability allowed you to contribute to the well-being of others, just as they had contributed to yours. You began to notice that the connections formed from honesty were deeper and more meaningful than those maintained on the surface. With each new interaction, you found that conversations became more genuine. Superficialities and empty dialogues were replaced by real and impactful discussions. You felt more connected to the world around you. The life stories you heard from friends and acquaintances revealed that everyone has their own scars, reaffirming the idea that no one is truly alone in their struggles. Moreover, you started to understand that asking for help is not just about receiving, but also about giving. When you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, you created space for others to feel comfortable sharing their own struggles. This dynamic of exchange formed a positive cycle where people supported each other, and the feeling of loneliness was replaced by a deep sense of community. You also realized that seeking help didn't have to be a desperate act. Sometimes it was simply a casual conversation with a friend, a text exchange, or an informal meetup. These interactions became opportunities to connect and share. Support was always there, but often overshadowed by your pride. The path to acceptance and healing was not linear. There were days when you still felt hesitant to open up. The fear of judgment and insecurity remained challenges, but now you had tools and experiences to help you confront those feelings. Over time, you became more resilient, learning to recognize and quiet the inner voice that tried to convince you to shut down again. Your mental health also began to improve. You noticed that as you shared your struggles, the anxiety and pressure that once felt suffocating started to diminish. The practice of expressing your feelings became a form of self-care. Instead of bottling up emotions, you externalized them, allowing them to flow and dissipate. Seeking help was no longer seen as a sign of weakness, but rather as a coping strategy. You became an advocate for mental health in your social circle, encouraging others to open up and talk about their battles. This transformation not only benefited you, but also inspired those around you to do the same. Over time, you realized that vulnerability is a pathway to personal and emotional growth. By allowing yourself to be true, you began to explore new facets of your identity. You learned to cope with pain in a healthier way, to accept imperfections, and to recognize that everyone has the right to struggle and ask for help. The pride that once isolated you has now become a valuable lesson. You learned that instead of protecting yourself, pride can create barriers that hinder genuine connections. By freeing yourself from that weight, you not only rediscovered yourself, but also found a purpose in helping others do the same. Now, you feel more prepared to face life's challenges. The journey doesn't end here, it is a continuous learning process. The courage to ask for help has turned into a legacy you wish to pass on. You have become an example of how vulnerability can be a catalyst for change, and this new perspective on life has brought a sense of hope. What could have been a story of loneliness and regret has now transformed into a narrative of connection and overcoming obstacles. You have learned that while pride can be an obstacle, true strength lies in the willingness to face difficulties together. And so, your journey continues, filled with new opportunities to grow and connect, not only with yourself, but with everyone around you. As time has passed, you began to notice significant changes in your life. The conversations that were once superficial have now become moments of genuine exchange. You allowed yourself to listen to other people's stories, and this had a profound impact. Each account brought a new perspective, a new way of seeing difficulties. What once seemed like an exclusive burden became part of the shared human experience. This exchange of experiences not only eased the load you carried, but also made you feel part of something greater. The sense of belonging began to grow, and you realized there was immense value in supporting others. You became a good listener, someone your friends could trust. This not only helped solidify the bonds you had almost lost, but also fostered an environment where everyone felt comfortable being authentic. Vulnerability, which once felt like a weakness, was now becoming a strength. By opening your heart, you noticed that others felt inspired to do the same. This dynamic of mutual support began to create a virtuous circle of empathy and understanding. You recognized that by sharing your struggles, you were also giving permission for others to feel free to do the same, thus creating a safe space for everyone. As interactions became deeper, you started to question your own beliefs and values. The journey of opening up to others led you to reflect on what truly mattered in your life. You began to prioritize relationships that brought joy and meaning, and to distance yourself from situations that drained your energy. This clarity helped shape your choices and steer your life toward a more fulfilling path. You also realized that mental health is not just an individual matter, but a collective aspect. The stigma surrounding mental health still exists, and you felt motivated to be an advocate for change. Talking openly about your experiences became a way to dismantle biases and encourage others to seek support. This social awareness not only benefited you, but also contributed to a more welcoming environment around you. The practice of asking for help became an integral part of your life. You started seeking support not only in times of crisis, but also in moments of uncertainty and doubt. This did not mean you were incapable. On the contrary, it meant you were willing to accept the support of others. This new perspective allowed you to be more proactive about your well-being. You also ventured into new activities that once seemed intimidating. By opening yourself up to the unknown and being willing to accept help, new opportunities began to arise. Courses, support groups, and even new friendships became part of your new reality. Each step in this direction strengthened your confidence and expanded your horizons. As you allowed yourself to explore these new experiences, you started to notice an increase in your self-esteem. The feeling of being in control of your life returned, but now accompanied by an understanding that collaboration and connection are essential. Life is not a competition, but a shared journey where everyone has something to offer and learn. Over time, you became more aware of your own emotional health. The tools you acquired along the way, such as the practice of self-reflection and seeking moments of self-care, became fundamental. You learned to identify signs of stress and respond to them in a healthier way. This doesn't mean there wouldn't be challenges. Rather, you became better equipped to handle them. You also began to establish healthier boundaries in your relationships. The desire to help others did not mean sacrificing your own well-being. You learned that by taking care of yourself, you were in a better position to support those around you. This new approach not only improved your quality of life, but also encouraged friends and family to do the same. The vulnerability that was once seen as a weakness has now become your greatest asset. You became an example that internal battles can be overcome, and that strength can be found in fragility. This inspired those around you to reconsider their own approaches to vulnerability. The idea that everyone has struggles and challenges has become a shared truth. The desire to help others has transformed into a greater purpose. You began to get involved in community initiatives and social projects, seeking to create a positive impact. What started as a personal journey of self-discovery has now expanded into a commitment to social change. You realized that by allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you could help create a world where people feel more connected and supported. The journey of self-understanding and vulnerability has revealed itself as a path of continuous transformation. Each day brings new lessons, new opportunities for growth, and new ways to connect with the world. The struggle against pride has become a fundamental part of your story, but not as a burden anymore. Now it is a part of the narrative that propels you forward, a testament to the possibilities that arise when you allow yourself to be authentic. And so, you continue to navigate this journey with an open heart and a receptive mind. The courage to ask for help is not just a personal lesson, but a message you want to share with the world. Pride does not have to be a barrier, but a springboard to a lighter, more connected and more meaningful future. Every step you take is an invitation for others to also break free and find their own path of growth and connection. The transformation journey you have experienced is not just about overcoming pride, but also about understanding the importance of empathy. Each time you open up to someone, you're not only sharing your own struggles, but also creating a space where others feel safe to do the same. This exchange is essential as it strengthens social ties and fosters a genuinely supportive environment. You've begun to realize that empathy is a skill that can be cultivated. By listening to the stories of others, you've become more aware of the experiences that shape their lives. Each account brought a new perspective on what it means to be human. This understanding not only enriched your interactions, but also gave you a broader view of the world. The fear of judgment, which once paralyzed you, began to fade away. You recognized that everyone has their own insecurities, and that by sharing yours, you are contributing to the normalization of vulnerability. This shift in mindset allowed you to feel more comfortable in social settings, where you previously felt anxious or insecure. Furthermore, the practice of opening up led you to develop greater emotional resilience. By facing difficulties and sharing your experiences, you learn to better handle challenges. This resilience is not just the ability to endure adversity, but also to recover from it. You discovered that by talking about your struggles, you were not only processing your emotions, but also building an inner strength. The pursuit of support has become a natural part of your daily life. You've started to cultivate relationships where open communication is the norm. Conversations that once felt superficial have now transformed into moments of meaningful exchange. This depth in interactions has brought a new significance to your social life, turning casual encounters into opportunities for learning and growth. The vulnerability that you once feared has now become a source of power. You realized that by sharing your challenges, you were helping others feel less alone. Every time someone felt comfortable enough to open their heart, you felt validated and accepted. This created a cycle of mutual support that benefited not just you, but everyone around you. The transformation you experienced also highlighted the importance of self-acceptance. You learned to recognize your imperfections and to embrace them as part of your story. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation. Rather, it's the ability to look at yourself with compassion and understanding. You became kinder to yourself, allowing yourself to make mistakes and learn from them. The journey to self-acceptance is not linear. There are moments of doubt and insecurity, but you've learned to handle these feelings in a more constructive way. When self-critical thoughts arise, you now have the tools to question them and redirect your focus. This practice of mindfulness has become an essential part of your daily life. You started to incorporate activities that promote self-care into your routine, whether it's through meditation, engaging in sports, or simply taking moments for silence and reflection. These actions have become a refuge for your mind. Self-care isn't just a break. It's a necessity that helps maintain your emotional balance. Over time, you also felt motivated to help others find their own path to vulnerability. You began sharing your experiences in support groups and community meetings. These interactions not only reinforced your own journey, but also inspired others to open up. The sharing of experiences became a catalyst for positive change, both in you and in those around you. As you became more involved in community initiatives, you realized that the fight for mental health is a collective issue. The stigma that often accompanies asking for help needs to be challenged with information and empathy. You have become an advocate for this cause, using your voice to break the silence and encourage open discussions about mental health. This journey hasn't just been about you, it has expanded to include friends, family, and even strangers. You have become a go-to person in your social circle, someone others can trust to listen without judgment. This new dynamic has not only strengthened your relationships, but has also created a sense of community where everyone feels free to share their struggles. Building this welcoming environment is a legacy you are proud to have contributed to. You've learned that simple acts like listening attentively or offering a kind word can have a lasting impact on someone's life. These actions have become part of who you are, and empathy has become a quality you deeply value. The desire to help others break free from their own pride and silence has become a greater purpose in your life. You've come to realize that everyone faces their battles, and that by coming together, it's possible to create a space where vulnerability is celebrated. This supportive community is a place where strength and fragility coexist, and where each story is valued. As you continue this journey of self-discovery and connection, life becomes richer and more meaningful. Vulnerability is no longer a burden, but a source of strength that lights the way for others. You have become an example that it is possible to face difficulties with courage, and that asking for help is a demonstration of strength, not weakness. Now, looking toward the future, you feel optimistic. Each day brings new opportunities to learn, grow, and connect. The journey is not just about you. It's about everyone who crosses your path and the stories they share. The courage to ask for help and the willingness to listen have become the foundations of a more meaningful life. You are committed to continuing this journey, open to new experiences and relationships. Pride doesn't have to be an obstacle. It can be a springboard to a more connected and enlightened future. And so with each step you take, you invite others to join you on this journey of vulnerability and growth, building a more empathetic and welcoming world. You've begun to realize that vulnerability isn't just a personal issue, but an aspect that permeates the lives of everyone around you. Each person you encountered had their own battles and challenges, often hidden beneath layers of resistance and pride. This new understanding brought a sense of responsibility. You felt like you had a role to play in creating a space where everyone could express themselves freely. Conversations that used to be superficial have now become profound. You challenged yourself to ask questions that encouraged others to reflect on their own experiences. This not only helped your friends open up, but also strengthened your relationships. By showing genuine interest in their stories, you began to build an environment of mutual trust. The quest for support and the willingness to help became a part of your daily life. You remembered moments when you received help and how that had made a difference in your life. Now you wanted to give back. Every time someone shared their struggles, you felt more connected to that person. It was as if each story contributed to a collective mural of human experiences where everyone had a place. You started participating in support groups and discussions about mental health, where people gathered to share their experiences. These meetings became a source of learning. Hearing others' experiences not only broadened your perspective, but also solidified your belief that vulnerability is an essential part of the human experience. With each meeting, you felt stronger and more ready to face your own challenges. Moreover, you realized that the practice of sharing your struggles extended beyond formal conversations. Small moments in your daily life, like having coffee with a friend or sending a quick message, became opportunities to open up and explore feelings. These informal interactions also contributed to building a strong support network. The simple act of asking, "How are you really doing?" can open doors to meaningful dialogues. You became an advocate for open communication. As you talked about your struggles, you became an example of how it is possible to be both strong and vulnerable at the same time. People started reaching out to you for advice and support, recognizing that you had created a safe space where they could express themselves without fear of judgment. This not only brought a new sense of purpose to your life, but also reinforced the idea that everyone has something to offer. The difficulties you faced were no longer seen as barriers, but as opportunities for learning and growth. With each challenge, you questioned what you could learn and how you could use that experience to help others. This shift in mindset brought a new level of satisfaction to your life. You began to see tough situations as inevitable yet valuable parts of your journey. Mental health became a priority. You started exploring different forms of self-care, such as meditation, engaging in sports, and even participating in creative activities. By taking care of yourself, you felt more empowered to care for others. This dynamic of giving and receiving became a fundamental pillar in your life. You understood that by allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you were not only taking care of yourself, but also creating space for others to do the same. You also got involved in community initiatives that promoted mental health. Participating in events and awareness campaigns became an extension of your personal commitment. You realized that the fight for mental health is not limited to individual issues. It's a social matter that affects everyone. Through your involvement, you began to understand the realities that many people face, and this motivated you even more to be an active advocate. As you delved deeper into this journey, you started to see the positive impact your actions were having on the lives of others. Stories from people who felt encouraged to seek help or to open up about their struggles began to reach you. This exchange of support and understanding became a source of motivation. You recognized that by allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you were helping to create a ripple effect of empathy and solidarity. The gatherings you organized became anticipated events in your community. People started to come together, not only to share their struggles, but also to celebrate victories, no matter how small. This celebration of life and overcoming challenges brought about a sense of belonging and unity. You became a catalyst for change, creating an environment where vulnerability is not only accepted, but celebrated. You also became more aware of the importance of taking care of yourself and others. You learned that it's okay to set boundaries. Self-care is not selfish, it's a necessity. By teaching others about the importance of taking care of themselves, you began to see changes in your relationships. The people around you started to feel more comfortable expressing their own needs and seeking help when necessary. The journey of transformation that you initiated became a legacy of hope. Looking back, you see not only the challenges faced, but also the achievements. Vulnerability, which once seemed like a weakness, is now a source of strength and connection. You have become an example of resilience and empathy, inspiring others to face their own challenges. Now, as you prepare for the future, you feel more confident. Every step you took toward vulnerability has empowered you. The relationships you've built are deep and meaningful. You know you're not alone, and by opening your heart, you've created a space where everyone can feel safe to do the same. The journey continues. You are committed to promoting mental health, empathy, and vulnerability, not just in your life, but in your community. Each day is a new opportunity to learn, grow, and connect. And so you move forward, ready to face whatever the future holds, always with an open heart and a receptive mind. You've begun to realize that the transformation you've experienced was not just a personal issue, but a reflection of a larger movement. As you became more vulnerable and open, the people around you began to feel inspired to do the same. This chain reaction was indeed a testament to the power of authenticity in human relationships. The gatherings you organized became moments of reflection and mutual support. People shared not only their struggles, but also their victories, creating an environment where everyone felt valid. The exchange of experiences fostered a sense of community that you had long desired. Each person who sat at the table brought with them a unique story, enriching the dialogue. The practice of active listening became a valuable skill. Understanding what others were experiencing not only broadened your perspective, but also strengthened the bonds you were creating. You realized that by giving your full attention to those speaking, you could capture nuances and emotions that often went unnoticed. This ability became a cornerstone of your interactions. Vulnerability, which used to be a barrier, now became a bridge. You began to understand that by sharing your own struggles, you were allowing others to feel comfortable doing the same. This not only facilitated conversations, but also created a safe space where authenticity was valued. Stories that were once silenced now gained voice and presence. Moreover, you recognized that self-care was not just a personal priority, it was an act that influenced everyone around you. By taking care of yourself, you became an example of how everyone can and should prioritize their well-being. For instance, when you started exercising regularly, others also felt motivated to adopt healthier habits. This exchange of encouragement became a form of mutual support. You got involved in community projects that promoted mental health. Participating in awareness campaigns and fundraising events became an extension of your commitment to collective well-being. By doing this, you not only helped bring visibility to important issues, but also connected with people who shared similar values. Through these initiatives, you began to understand the importance of education on mental health. The stigma surrounding the topic was still strong, and you felt motivated to dismantle prejudices. The conversations you initiated in public spaces started to open doors for discussions that were previously considered taboo. This shift in mindset was a sign that times were changing, and you wanted to be part of that movement. In addition to supporting others, you also began to seek training in mental health. Participating in courses and workshops not only expanded your knowledge, but also solidified your position as an advocate. You wanted to be prepared to help not just by listening, but also with concrete and practical information. This quest for knowledge became a passion and a purpose. Every new skill you acquired boosted your confidence. You realized that the ability to help others goes beyond what is said. It also involves understanding the nuances of human psychology. This awareness made you recognize the importance of being an empathetic listener and a wise counselor. The training you sought not only prepared you for more meaningful interactions, but also helped you manage your own emotional challenges more effectively. The practice of opening up to others and allowing them to do the same helped create a positive cycle. As people felt more comfortable sharing, you noticed that this not only relieved individual tensions, but also fostered a sense of belonging. Interactions that were once superficial were now filled with meaning and connection. You began to realize that vulnerability not only enriched your relationships, but also contributed to a more welcoming space in your community. People's willingness to open up and share their experiences created an environment where mental health became a collective priority. This not only helped combat stigma, but also encouraged others to seek support when needed. The support networks you helped build began to flourish. Discussion groups, informal meetups, and even fundraising events became part of the community's routine. This mobilization not only brought visibility to the importance of mental health, but also created a sense of unity among people. Each event became an opportunity to celebrate each other's victories, creating an environment where everyone felt valued. You started to understand that change doesn't happen overnight. It's a continuous process that requires patience and persistence. Every step you took towards vulnerability and openness helped create a legacy that extends beyond yourself. The empathy you cultivated spread, and the seeds of change began to sprout. The pursuit of mental health and mutual support became an essential part of your life. You realized that by promoting vulnerability, you were contributing to a more compassionate society. This not only benefited you, but also left a lasting impact on the lives of those around you. You became a catalyst for change, and that was something you took great pride in. As you continued to engage, you also began to recognize the importance of taking care of yourself along the way. The practice of setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care became fundamental. You understood that you couldn't effectively help others if you weren't well within yourself. This awareness brought a new level of responsibility and self-care. You became an advocate for balance. Life is not just about helping others, it's also about taking care of yourself. This balanced approach allowed you to feel more energized and motivated. The relationships you built became healthier and more sustainable. The support you offered was now complemented by a commitment to your own well-being. As you looked toward the future, you felt a renewed sense of hope. The journey that began with the desire to confront pride and loneliness transformed into a profound commitment to mental health and empathy. You were ready to face new challenges and opportunities, always with an open heart and a receptive mind. Thus, you continued to walk the path of vulnerability, connection, and growth, determined to make a difference not only in your life, but in the lives of everyone around you. You realized that change depended not only on your individual actions, but also on the willingness of others to come together for a common goal. From this, you started organizing regular gatherings where people could share their stories and experiences. These meetings became a safe space for everyone to express themselves without fear of judgment. The community's response was encouraging. More and more people began to participate, bringing their struggles and triumphs to light. The atmosphere of support that developed encouraged honesty and authenticity in the conversations. Over time, you noticed that mental health became a central topic of discussion, and people started seeking not just support, but also information on how to take care of themselves. You decided to host talks and workshops with mental health professionals, bringing in experts to share knowledge and practical strategies. These initiatives not only educated the community, but also demystified mental health, making the topic more accessible. The normalization of these conversations made people feel more comfortable seeking help when needed. Additionally, you began collaborating with local schools and institutions, promoting the importance of emotional well-being from an early age. Raising awareness around mental health became a priority, and you felt motivated to be an active voice in this fight. The impact your actions have had on the lives of those around you has been rewarding. Now you see yourself as part of a larger movement. What began as a personal journey has transformed into a collective effort that promotes empathy, vulnerability, and mental health. This new reality has not only enriched your life, but also that of many others, creating a support network that has benefited everyone. Before you leave, do two things now. Take a deep breath and hold on to what touched your heart today. And if it makes sense, share this story with someone who also needs to hear it.